Welcome back to another episode of the Beyond the Arc podcast. Today, we're going to be talking about all the slate of games that just happened on Sundays and kind of giving an overall reaction thus far to all 30 NFL teams. And then talking about some fantasy at the end. Don't forget, we always love to do that broke boy bet as well. We're starting that, so we'll put that in the very end. But if you do enjoy this content, do me a huge favor, smash the like button, subscribe to the YouTube channel, comment down below on what you feel, how you feel your team's been doing thus far this season. So without further ado, let's get right on into this. So starting off week 6, of course, on that Thursday, October 9th, we had Eagles, Giants. Just giving an overall reaction to the game. You can start to see, of course, Jackson Dart is still a rookie, but he's getting, he's figuring things out for sure. And he's kind of proven myself wrong because I was not a Jackson Dart guy coming into the season. I never really loved him at Ole Miss and his college film and all that. I didn't love it. I thought other quarterbacks deserved to go ahead of him. You guys know I'm a big Shador guy myself. Believe in his work ethic and all that. So I kind of assumed that Jackson Dart wasn't going to be this good this fast, at least. And yeah, is he a Pro Bowl quarterback? No, not necessarily yet, but can he get there? Absolutely. But a bright spot of this is, of course, that defensive front seven being able to stop the run for the Eagles, not allowing Saquon Barkley to do as well as Saquon Barkley had done last season. Of course, we've talked about this a little bit before with the overall. I mean, he had 58 rush yards. That's what we're talking about. And that defensive front seven is a huge reason of that. We did talk about Saquon probably going to have a bit of a regress season from last season because it was historical, so it's just so much work ethic, so much workload that he got that, of course, this season you would expect a step back. But overall, this game, as far as if you're a Giants fan, I mean, you got to be excited about your bright future with Cam Scatterbo getting 3 touchdowns. Of course, Jackson Dart throwing for 195 yards, no interceptions. That's what you like to see. The completion percentage, 17 for 25 is pretty darn decent. And he's doing it without Malik Neighbors. He's throwing to guys like Wan'Dale Robinson, getting 84 yards for 6 catches and getting in the end zone. Theo Johnson got a couple catches there. Theo Johnson's, I think, a guy in fantasy that you can kind of buy low, but of course, he's typically on the waivers right now if you are in like a 10-man league. But if he doesn't get in the end zone, that's where it is a little scary. Probably just a waiver wire bye week kind of pickup, kind of tight end right there. But if you're an Eagles fan, I'd be worrying a little bit because you're 4-2, yes. Like you still have that winning record. You're on top of your division there, but your defense is not what it is. It's not that great, right? It's not last year. And then also the offense just struggles. Jalen Hurts actually had an okay game, 283 pass yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick, but 24 for 33. That's all right. As far as receiving goes, Dallas Goedert had a great game. Dallas Goedert has to be on everyone's fantasy team. I've been watching some leagues where people are dropping Dallas Goedert, and it's like, why? He's having a career year for himself. 9 catches, 110 yards, and he got in the end zone. A.J. Brown, 6 catches for 80 yards. Like, the pass game's not terrible. It's just that defensive front seven for the Giants really showed out. So keep that in mind. The Eagles probably need to look at trading for a corner, in this upcoming, as the trade deadline's right around the corner. But, genuinely, they're 4-2, long season to come. So to start off the slate of 10 a.m. games, the Broncos-Jets game, absolute boring game. Jets finally get their first takeaway of the season, which is, that's something at least. They're the freaking first team in forever to not have a takeaway in the first 5 games or something like that. Some sort of historical stat there, but boring offensive game. Both offenses looked pretty rough today. As I'm kind of concerned about the Broncos. I'm not going to lie. The defense, of course, is always going to be there, but the offense itself is not clicking, and genuinely, they need to upgrade that receiving core. It's like Cortland Sutton's good, but genuinely, like, they need more pass players for Bo Nix to get the ball out to. And it's clear, like RJ Harvey, I mean, he's just not finding a role in this offense thus far. It's been J.K. Dobbins, and they're not really able to get the rushing going because, like, the O-line's okay. It's not fantastic. It's not what I thought it would be. But, and then as far as the pass game goes, I mean, you're getting 5 catches for 42 yards as your top player, and it's Evan Ingram. No one else catching over 40 yards. There's no separation that's happening here, right? They're not taking shots super deep. It's just, and I don't know if it's a Bo Nix is just missing reads, or if it's this receiving core is pretty mediocre. I would probably lean towards that receiving core because I've seen Bo Nix chuck that ball downfield and take the deep shots as he did against the Bills in the playoffs to open the game, stuff like that. But yeah, it just feels, I don't know, the offense is really missing playmakers. They're missing, like, if they could go out and talk to the Saints about Alvin Kamara, or talk to the Browns even about acquiring Jerry Jeudy or David Njoku or something like that. They need ball players. It just doesn't feel like their offensive core has what they need. Justin Fields, I mean, 9 for 17, 45 yards. Breece Hall, okay game. Overall, this was a pretty rough game. If you're a Garrett Wilson fantasy owner, he of course left the game early. It's a bit of a bummer there. Let's move on to this next game here on the slate. It's Seahawks-Jaguars. This game, Jackson Smith-Njigba really showed that he might need to start being in those top 5 wide receiver conversations because he is a dog. He was out here, I mean, Jackson Smith-Njigba, 8 catches, 162 yards, and a touchdown. He has just been putting on just game after game after game, having great games. The running back committee that they have over there, which a lot of this is because of that O-line. We've talked about this ample times. O-line, O-line, O-line. I mean, I know the last video I talked about teams needing to upgrade their O-line constantly, and the Seahawks are just in that group where, in order to have Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet really kind of get comfortable running the ball, you have to have that good O-line, and it's just not there. But yeah, if you're a fantasy owner of Jackson Smith-Njigba, I mean, shout out to you because he is balling out this year. The concern I have with the Jaguars, it's a little strange because their record, they're 4-2, I think. Yeah, they're 4-2, but they don't play like a 4-2 team. I understand they beat the Chiefs, right? They've got wins, but they just don't look great. Finally, Brian Thomas Jr. actually had a decent game. We were kind of waiting for that. 8 catches for 90 yards, and he got in the end zone. I believe he would have gotten the end zone a second time had Travis Hunter not lined up offsides. But, I mean, it's just a mistake like that is you can get rid of that kind of mistake. But yeah, Trevor Lawrence had an okay game, 27 for 42, 258 yards, 2 passing touchdowns, no interceptions. But Trevor Lawrence, we need to ease the expectations of that guy. He is not the prince. He just isn't living up to the hype and the expectation. And maybe that's something that we do as fans, that we just expect players to come in and immediately, or not even immediately, but just expect these guys to just be superstars. And some guys just aren't, Realistically, there are backup quarterbacks or even starting caliber quarterbacks that just aren't top 10 QBs, right? Obviously, there's 30 NFL teams, there's 30 NFL QBs that start. There's going to be somebody that is 11, 12, 13 on that rank list. So I think Trevor Lawrence, we got to start easing the expectation on that guy. I don't think at this point you can continue to blame the O-line. I don't think at this point you can continue to blame the coaching staff. I don't think anything like that. At this point, I think we just need to realize Trevor Lawrence is good. He's just not going to be great. He's not going to be in the Allen, Jackson, Mahomes category, Joe Burrow category, where he's going to be carrying a team. No, I think it's more of like Blake Bortles-esque, when Blake Bortles needed the weapons. He needed the great defense around him to really have something there in Jacksonville. So keep that in mind when choosing the expectation of of Trevor Lawrence, I mean, we got to keep that in mind. After that, we had the Chargers Dolphins, and I should make a claim here that it is currently 5:06 on Sunday, October 12th. So the Lions-Chiefs game has not happened yet. And then, of course, Monday games haven't happened either. So we're going to go all the way up to the Bengals-Packers game. But we'll just keep running through. So Chargers-Dolphins was actually not... Justin Herbert didn't impress me too much. He didn't have a fantastic game or anything like that, like you'd kind of expect against this Dolphins defense. But no picks, 264. I mean, actually, now that I'm looking at the stats itself, I guess watching it just didn't really look as great as the stats are showing. But 29 for 38, 264 yards, and 2 TDs. You know, it got you the win for sure. They're figuring out that backfield between Vidal and Haskins. Unfortunately, I was listening to a lot of YouTubers and a lot of commentators saying that Haskins was going to be the number one guy. So we went... In my fantasy league, I went with Haskins instead of Vidal, and I should have done the opposite because Vidal, 18 carries, 124 yards. I mean, he was running the ball like a madman. So, seems like they're probably going to lean him going forward, or at least ride this high that he just had. Also, a better catching back than Haskins is. So, 3 catches for 14 yards, and he got in the end zone as well. So, overall, unfortunate, but you can't really predict that. I mean, I just listened to all the commentators. They were all saying Haskins all week, and Vidal going to be sprinkled in there a little bit, more like a 60-40 split. But now it was clear as day Vidal was the guy to go for. So, Ladd McConkey, he is resurging himself. Took him a little bit of a slow start to start the season, but he is really proven these last few games that he is back, which is good. Good to hear. Good to see, good to hear, of course. If you're a Dolphins fan, I mean, the thing that you can think about is you got Devon Achane. 128 yards, 2 touchdowns. It's just unfortunate that, like, Tua throws 3 picks, 21 for 32. Jalen Waddle had 95 yards, which is cool. But overall, you got Devon Achane, which it sucks. If you're a Finn fan, that defense is not great. Offense, the defense on the bright side gives energy. That's what I'll say. Julian Phillips, he's not injured. That's a huge bright spot. Is Julian Phillips so far is not injured, and he's been just driven with injury his entire career, which is super unfortunate because he's such a talented player, but he just can't stay on the field and stay healthy. But yeah, there's not really too much to say about this game other than both defenses were pretty rough, other than the 3 picks for the Chargers themselves. Moving on to the next game, Rams-Ravens. So we talked about a lot of offense for the Dolphins-Chargers. Now let's talk about not a lot of offense for the Ravens and the Rams. Of course, the Ravens don't have Lamar Jackson. The Rams, though, Matthew Stafford had a very quiet game, 181 yards, 1 touchdown, 17 for 26. Just a little bit of a quiet game. If you had him starting in fantasy, I think he had like 9 points or something like that. Just kind of a okay game. Kyron Williams, also 50 yards, 1 touchdown, okay game. Devontae, quiet game, 4 catches, 39 yards. Puka, quiet game, 2 catches, 28 yards. So if you're a Ravens fan, I guess in theory, there's a bright spot there, is you were able to contain Puka, who's been tearing it up. But yeah, Ravens tried, I mean, they had Cooper Rush in there for a minute, and then they switched things up. They're like, all right, let's bring in Huntley, just to try and give some sort of spark there. Derrick Henry finally had a better game, 122 rush yards, which is solid, but did not get in the end zone, which is unfortunate for fantasy owners, of course, but that's better than recently with these weeks with Derrick Henry. He has just not been it, but I'm glad to see that he is, he's getting back to it. Overall, though, this game, very boring game because both defenses were containing. So, yeah. Now, if you're a Ravens fan, you got to be worried that you're 1-5. You're 1-5. Lamar's missed 2 games, right? So you're 1-3 with Lamar. You invested a lot of money into the defense this offseason, and the defense is allowing points left and right. Maybe this game right here, where it was 17-3, you can think of, we didn't allow ample points So maybe that's a bright spot there, is the defense just needed time to kind of cook and learn and, get acclimated to the situation. But not a lot of bright spots right now for Baltimore. You're hoping, of course, Lamar comes back. That division is wide open. I mean, yeah, at the top of that division, of course, at the top of the division, you do have the Steelers, which are 4-1, but everyone else 2-4, 1-5, 1-5. So there's definitely opportunity to get into the playoffs because of that division. But the thing is you got to start winning games. You got to start putting up good numbers. Moving on from this might have been the best game of the day. This one or the next one I'll talk about. Cardinals-Colts. I was shocked. Started the Colts defense in fantasy because I was like, oh, no Kyler Murray, Jacoby Brissett coming in. It's going to be a okay game for the Cardinals, but I didn't expect them to play as well as they did. Trey McBride had a great game. Jacoby Brissett, 27 of 44, 320 pass yards, 2 TDs. Yes, he did have a pick, but, he's the backup QB. The run game's not great for them. They're in this this running back committee, similar to like the Chargers, or even, the Chargers is a good example because they're running multiple running backs and don't have their starting running back. So yeah, Michael Carter, 9 carries for 34 yards. Zonovan Knight, 11 carries for 34 yards also. But guys like Trey McBride, 8 catches for 72 yards, got in the end zone. Zay Jones, 5 catches for 79 yards. Like, I was shocked at how decent they were playing against the Colts, because I thought Jonathan Taylor was for sure going to light up the field. And yeah, he did his thing. 123 yards, 1 touchdown for sure. But I just kind of like, Tyler Warren had a good game. He almost had multiple touchdowns. I just overall thought that they should have blown the buckets off of the Cardinals. This should have not been as close as it was. And that kind of not necessarily concerns me, but maybe it just brings the Colts down to earth a little bit, because they did start off the season so hot, being they're now 5-1. Now, so of course you're looking at this team is probably going to be a playoff team, especially in that division. So overall, like you're thinking, like, let me see, where are the Colts at? Jaguars are 4-2, Colts are 5-1, but then the Texans are 2-3 and the Titans are 1-5. So you can't necessarily lock a playoff spot for them, but they're definitely high up there. I assume they're going to just keep doing this thing. They're outscoring their opponents by a lot, 194 to 116. They're playing great at home. They're 4-0, undefeated. Overall, like, I think that the Colts are going to be good. I just don't know what the ceiling is for them, especially right now. I do think that they could use, like, their receiving core is okay. It's good. Michael Pittman, solid. Alec Pierce, solid. Adonai Mitchell had that stupid fumble in the end zone, but, you live and you learn from that kind of thing. But how can they defeat a team like the Chiefs, who have a lot of playoff experience? Can they defeat a team can they go toe-to-toe with the Bills? Can they go toe-to-toe with those teams at the top of their, conference, their division, and really compete? I mean, it seems like they've got star power there. Jonathan Taylor, Daniel Jones is not putting up stinker numbers, but overall, are they really going to compete with, the Bills, for example? Because right now it feels as if it's who could beat the Bills, because the Bills are kind of riding this high wave. They're dominating the NFL right now. The next game, this was also a toss-up for best game of the week so far. Cowboys-Panthers. I mean, Rico Dowdle, insane game. Just was able to do pretty much anything he freaking wanted. Rico Dowdle, 30 carries, 183 yards, and then also 4 catches, 56 yards, and a touchdown. I mean, just overall, over a 200-yard game for him, all-purpose. And I am glad that at the beginning of the season, I talked about the idea that the Panthers are going to be this very fun, exciting, like NBA League Pass-esque team where they're not going to win a ton of games, but they're going to score a lot of points. And this is what I was talking about. Right now, they're 3-3. And this is exactly where I was expecting them to be Just I thought the offense was going to be clicking a lot more, right? Because to start the season, they had, of course, Bryce Young. They had Chuba Hubbard. They have Rico Dowdle. Of course, they had, they had like Jimmy Horn Jr., which I was excited for. They had Tedro McMillan, Xavier Legette, Hunter Renfrow, Adam Thielen. Now, yeah, they ended up trading away Adam Thielen. Fair, but still, with all that, firepower, I expected the offense to be producing better. And this is what I was talking about. These 30 to 27 games, I was thinking that the Panthers would be in that, especially with the way they ended last season. They ended it very well. And then they added to that. They brought in Rico and they brought in Tedro McMillan, right? But overall, yeah, I really enjoyed this game. It was very fun. On the other side of the ball, the Cowboys, they were able, George Pickens had his day. 9 catches, 168 yards, and a tutty. He was lighting up that field. It felt like, although he only had 9 catches, which sounds like I'm crapping on that number, I'm not. What I'm saying is, like, it felt like he had way more catches than that. 14, 15 catch game. But it's because every single time he caught the ball, it was an average of 18.7 yards every catch. And he was lighting up the field, breaking tackles, etc. Dak had a pretty good game, 25 for 34, 261, and 3 tutties, right? Javonte Williams, okay, not great game, 13 carries for 29 yards, didn't get in the end zone. Jake Ferguson, he kind of calmed down for his electric tight end season thus far. He's been tight end 1 on every fantasy board so far, and now 3 catches, 33 yards, and a tutty. That's still a solid 12-point outing, but just not the electrifying season he had been having thus far. Overall, I was actually very entertained with this game, which the way the Panthers started the season, I wasn't super thrilled by it, but they have been putting up numbers in the past, like against the Falcons, for example. They blew out that whole thing, but let's move on. Let's talk about the Patriots and the Saints. So the Patriots-Saints game, that's something that I think Drake May is similar to the category of like Trevor Lawrence, where I think we kind of need to chill on the expectation of Drake May. We need to he may not be this superstar caliber quarterback that we are thinking he is. Because he didn't light up, 18 for 26, 261, and 3 touchdowns is a pretty good game. But watching him on the field, sometimes he just looks very panicked and very like stressed on the field, and almost not forces plays or anything. But the problem I have with the Patriots right now is they don't really have a solidified number 1 receiver either, to where they have this committee of receivers where they're literally their top 5 guys, 5 catches, 3 catches, 3 catches, 2 catches, 3 catches, right? 93 yards, 71, 28, 28, 27. So, like, they're spreading the ball around, which I guess is a good thing in theory, but you need to have a guy that you can absolutely rely on, right? You need to have your Travis Kelce. You need to have your Zay Flowers. You need to have your Keon Coleman, the guy that game's on the line, you're going to throw the ball to. Keon Coleman might be a bad example, but Zay Flowers, Lamar's throwing him the ball, right? Travis Kelce's going to get the ball, game on the line, or at least in his earlier years. Even like the Dolphins are proving that Darren Waller in that number 1 category. Jake Ferguson for the Cowboys, guy that you can rely on time after time after time, and you're just not seeing that thus far with the Patriots. I thought they were going to be a lot better. Yes, they're 4-2, good record and all that, but the way they're performing overall, I just haven't been too impressed by. Let's talk about Spencer Rattler, because I've definitely talked a lot of crap on this channel about Rattler, and he finally got his first win last week. Puts up a decent game this week. And it's clear as day. One, of course, they've got a lot of money invested into a lot of old players on this roster, such as Cam Jordan and that defense. But Spencer Rattler's kind of doing what he can. O-line's not great. But 20 for 26 and 227 is an okay game. It's a good game for Spencer Rattler. No touchdowns, but I mean, hey, Alvin Kamara, clearly his age is showing. He's not the player he once was, or at least with the Saints, I think he's kind of reached his cap. That's why I do think that the Saints should look to move off of him, right? Especially a way that they can kind of clear money off the cap is anything that they should be. Right now, when you're in a full rebuild, you don't have your franchise QB. You don't have, like, yes, you've got some exciting offensive weapons in Chris Olave, Rashid Shaheed, Alvin Kamara, sure, but this is not a win now team. This is a let's get a good draft pick team, as they're 1-5. Season's already wraps. You're not going to make the playoffs. Just find out what players you want to keep, find out what players have a ton of value, and go and sell those players that have a ton of value. So next up, after the Saints and Patriots, we have the Steelers-Browns, and the Steelers just ran. I mean, they did what they wanted. It was Dillon Gabriel, I mean, 29 for 52. That's brutal. Dillon Gabriel just... Can we get Shador on the field? Like, I want to see Shador. I want to see what he can do. I want all the criticism and everything. Just give him a shot. Really show... Because if you're the Browns organization, right, you've got Dillon Gabriel here, and this, even if you don't believe that Shador is your guy in the future, why don't you put him on the field? And if he balls out, then boom, and he's not your guy, then boom, his trade value goes up, and then you then trade him, and you run Dillon Gabriel for the rest of the season, then you go draft your franchise quarterback next offseason. And then also the thing about Shador is you could do the exact opposite. And you can put him on the field, since he's not your guy, and you can have him showcase, if you don't believe in him and everything, have him showcase that he's not the guy. I personally think if Shador is given the shot on the NFL field, he is going to prove the critics wrong. I think especially with the core that they have, they've got a good running back in Quinshon Judkins, right? I like their weapons that they have, and Harold Fannin looks pretty solid, 7 catches for 81 yards. Jerry Jeudy, decent receiver. David Njoku, good tight end. Even like they have guys like Isaiah Bond, which is a fast receiver, hasn't really had too much opportunity yet, but overall, I think that there is ample opportunity for, like, Dillon Gabriel should be putting up better numbers than 29 for 52. That's just, like, we shouldn't be looking at some low 60% completion percentage. Like, it should be especially with 2 decent tight ends. You should have a higher completion percentage, of course. Justin Herbert has no offensive line right now. Yes, I understand Dillon Gabriel is a rookie, and I want to give the guy all the opportunity in the world because he had a decent first game. This is his second game, of course, in his entire career. But overall, I think you got to give Shador a shot. I have even said that before Dillon Gabriel was named the starter. Shador should get a shot. He should be a guy that they should put out there to either, like I said, silence the critics. They trade him because they clearly don't want him. The only reason they drafted him was because the owner was like, yo, you're taking him here. So with that, you might as well see what you get at least some point in the season. You're already 1-5. Like we knew that this season was going to be over. You traded Joe Flacco away. And so I'm thinking that he might get some sort of reps in, hopefully, especially with them being 1-5. If they drop a couple other games, let's say they lose the next 2 more in a row, that means Dillon Gabriel's 0-4 as a starter. What do you have to lose to throw Shador in there? As far as the Steelers go, Aaron Rodgers, he had an okay game. I mean, 21 for 30, 235, 2 TDs. Jaylen Warren, proven to be that running back one now that he's healthy. He's back, everything like that. 11 carries for 52 yards, not getting in the end zone. DK Metcalf, 4 catches, 95 yards and a touchdown is pretty darn solid for sure. I mean, right there, that's 13 and 6 is 19 points in fantasy. 19 points in fantasy. So that's pretty solid overall. Steelers defense, of course, is electric, so they're going to be good. Titans, Raiders, I don't really have too much to say about this. This is just two teams that are both pretty rough. If we're comparing the stats, Cam Ward, 26 for 38 versus Geno, 17 for 23. So Cam Ward had the better game. Did he have the better game? Yeah, I mean, I guess he did. Ashton Genty, proven that the placebo effect is probably in effect here because he's standing up straight and he's putting up better numbers with his 75-yard game and a touchdown. So overall, pretty solid in that category. Trey Tucker, pretty decent game. 5 catches, 70 yards. Again, another like receiving committee here where 5 catches, 4 catches, 2 catches kind of thing. Jacoby Myers, decent game also. Same thing with Michael Mayer. With Brock Bowers being out, it's important that you have that tight end that's filling that role, and he so far is not doing it exactly as Brock Bowers, but I mean, in fantasy, that's a 16-point outing for him. That's pretty solid for a tight end. But yeah, Titans, of course, are not focused on this season. They're focused on the future. Raiders are just seeing what they got there. Buccaneers, Niners. Mac Jones, 2 picks, sure. 27 for 39. He is slinging it. 347 pass yards. Overall, that's pretty darn good. I genuinely think, I know I got a lot of comments and a lot of hate about the Brock Purdy versus Mac Jones. What I am saying about Brock Purdy versus Mac Jones is it's more of giving credit to Kyle Shanahan and what he's able to do with the QB position. And saying, what I am saying about, I'm not saying Brock Purdy's going to lose his job. But what I'm saying is I don't think you need to invest heavily in a quarterback when you have Kyle Shanahan as your coach, because they're going to put the weapons around him. And also, I guess in theory, I am saying that Mac Jones is competing for that starting position. I understand you're paying Brock Purdy so much money, but Brock doesn't look nearly as good with the offense that he has compared to what Mac looks with the offense he has. And what I mean by this is Brock Purdy only looks good to me and what I've watched and what I've seen, and I live in California. So I have access to the Niners games. And when I watch the Niners games and I watch Brock Purdy, when he has, Trent Williams who's banged up or Christian McCaffrey being banged up or something like that, the offense crumbles and it doesn't perform nearly like what Mac Jones thus far has been able to do with Jawan Jennings. Jawan Jennings right now is, he's been out, right? Jawan Jennings has been out. I mean, he got in this game. He had 1 catch for 7 yards, sure, but he's still injured. He's revived Kendrick Bourne, 5 catches, 142 yards. I think if Brock Purdy was a quarterback, Kendrick Bourne would not be performing nearly as well as he is. No Kittle, right? No Ayuk. Jawan Jennings banged up. O-line banged up. Defense banged up. Christian McCaffrey is okay, but they're not able to run the ball with him. I mean, they were able to run the ball with him today a little bit, 54 yards, and he got in the end zone on a rush. But that's what I'm saying is I think that Brock Purdy's a little overrated as a quarterback. You paid him a lot of money and you could have just waited. And theoretically, hindsight's 20/20. But you didn't need to pay him when you did. You could have waited. So let's talk about the Buccaneers, though. Egbuka, of course, left the game early. That's scary, questionable. 2 catches, 24 yards, mediocre game for him, but he did get injured, so not putting that on him. Baker had a quiet game today compared to what he normally does. 17 for 23, 256, and 2 TDs. No picks. Rashad White, running backs, actually did pretty good. 65 yards and a touchdown. Overall, I mean, this is just a game that, no Mike Evans. Egbuka got hurt. You still came out with the dub. You hopefully, just get healthy. Be back next week. But yeah, you came out with a win, so you can't be mad about that. Bengals, Packers. Joe Flacco, 29 for 45, 219, and 2 touchdowns. Jamar Chase finally having a good game, right? Of course, last week he had a good game, but that was against the Lions when they were already getting blown out and all that. This was against a real opportunity to win this game. And yeah, I mean, overall, 10 catches, 94 yards, and a touchdown is what we expect out of Jamar Chase. That is a 25-point outing for fantasy. That's what you expect. But yeah, Joe Flacco, they're going to run him till... I don't think Joe Burrow's coming back. I don't know if you should bring him back. I think it's clear as day they need to focus O-line. And they probably are biting themselves in the foot because they invested so much money into the weapons that they can't invest in that O-line too much. So this draft, it's probably... And that defense sucks. That defense is horrid. I mean, Josh Jacobs able to run all over, 2 touchdowns and 93 rush yards. That's brutal. Overall, Jordan Love had a decent game, 19 for 26, 259, a touchdown. He did have a pick. So shout out to the Bengals defense for doing that. But yeah, teams are able to run all over. So I'm sure that the lines are set higher when the teams are playing the Bengals. But if I'm a betting man, I'm betting the over on all freaking Bengals, the opposing running back, over on rush yards. Because that's what's happening. They're just dominating the field. Now, the 3 last games, Lions, Chiefs just started. There's 6 minutes left in the first quarter, 0-0. I do think the Lions win that game. I am concerned about the Chiefs, but we'll get into that. I'm going to go into the standings individually, talk about all those teams and all that. The Bills, Falcons, I think the Bills walk away with that game. I don't trust Michael Penix yet. I think he needs time to develop and all that. And then Bears, Commanders, I got to give it to the Bears. I think the Bears, I like their defense better. I like the offense better. Jaden Daniels is back, but it's his first game back from injury. So I'm just thinking that the Bears got that. So let's go through the standings, starting with the AFC East. The Bills on top of that division. Of course, they are 4-1. They look solid. I mean, they look like they can make that deep playoff run. I feel like I say this every year where I trust in the Bills and then they just choke early. So this season, though, I'm thinking they're outscoring their opponents by a lot, 153 to 113. I think that they got this. I think this is the year that the Bills go all the way to the Super Bowl, especially with the Ravens being on the Ravens stuff and the Chiefs just not being the Chiefs. But I think that the Bills are going to be that team that can't be stopped. The Patriots, I've already said my concerns about them. They don't have that solidified number one. And yeah, maybe you can say that same thing about the Bills, but the Bills at least have number one weapons. James Cook is a number one running back for sure. Versus the Patriots have this weird running back committee between Henderson and Ramondre Stevenson, my bad. Moving on to those, so that's what I'm saying is I don't think that the Bills can compete. I mean, I don't think the Patriots can compete with the Bills because they just lack star power. The Dolphins just tank. I mean, it's just what it is. Tua's throwing 3 picks in a game. Tua looks terrible. He does not look good. They're getting outscored heavily by their opponents, 134 to 174. Same thing with the Jets, just tank. I mean, there ain't no bright spots over there for the Jets. I mean, I guess in theory, I don't have a great thing to say about them. Trade Garrett Wilson maybe, get some value, move off of Justin Fields. inflate his numbers so that you can trade him. And I don't know, though. It's just bad. Overall, it's bad. Steelers up top the AFC North. This division is weaker than I expected. I mean, we expect 2-3 teams. Like, I don't expect the Ravens to be below the Bengals. With as poor as the Bengals defense is, it's crazy. And I understand Lamar's been injured for 2 games, but that still means that they're 1-3 with Lamar. It's just like, it's crazy. It's crazy that this offense is not clicking like it was. The first game, they put up like 40 points. And then after that, it's just been downhill from there. And they lost that game to the Bills, sure. But still, you put up a great game. Your defense choked, but the Browns, like I said, give Shador a shot. He deserves it. It's time. Put him in there. At least, I mean, maybe you run Dylan Gabriel a couple more games, but I think before the season's over, you do have to give Shador a shot. The season, you're 1-5. You're not making the playoffs. You're not. You're just not. AFC South, Colts, I'm hoping that they can keep riding this high and keep balling out. I don't think that they're going to be too successful in the playoffs. I just have a feeling that they're going to get bounced early. Jaguars, same thing. I think we need to reduce the expectations of guys like Trevor Lawrence, because I don't think that Trevor's that game-saving franchise QB. I could definitely see them moving off of him in the future. And maybe that's what both parties need. Maybe the Jaguars need to move off of him, and maybe Trevor Lawrence needs a new system. Just like Sam Darnold, Baker Mayfield, both needed that. And maybe the Prince can be the Prince just elsewhere, right? I mean, there's an option for that. So, after that, we got the Texans. Texans on a bye week, so that's why they didn't get talked about during the game slate. But the Texans, I think they needed a bye week. They got to figure out this O-line, because this O-line is not giving C.J. Stroud any protection. He did finally have a pretty decent game the week prior, and I don't think C.J. Stroud is the issue. No, I think it's the O-line. The defense is solid. I think the O-line is the main issue. So this offseason, they got to focus heavy O-line. Whether that's bringing in guys, whether it's like doing something like the Bears, where you bring in a lot, or you do something like the Patriots or the Chargers and you draft your O-lineman. But it's kind of good that you're 2-3. You can be a middle-of-the-pack team. Maybe you don't make the playoffs, and then you go and focus O-line because you got that high draft pick. And yeah, you go get your guy to protect C.J. Stroud. Titans, 1-5. Like I said, they're not focused on the now. They're focused on the future. Figuring out if any of these receivers can continue with Cam Ward. Eventually, they're going to need to figure out running back. They'll probably look to draft one, I would assume, in this upcoming draft. Tony Pollard's just not going to be there too much longer. So, and Tajay Spear, I mean, he's been injured. Chargers, up top the AFC West, they scare me because, like, yes, they're 4-2, but this division kind of sucks, honestly. I'm not going to lie. They're missing O-linemen left and right. They're missing running backs left and right. The receiving core, Quentin Johnson just fell off the face of the freaking earth, which sucks. Like, I want to see today. Quentin Johnson had... Did Quentin Johnson really not have a catch? Quentin Johnson might have had a catch, but he's just not on this list. So, yeah, he started off so strong, and then he's just back to normal, which kind of sucks because I have him in fantasy. But, yeah, Chargers are some team that it's unfortunate that they are in the spot that they're at, because I was expecting big things out of them to start the season. And they started off pretty strong. I mean, they defeated the Chiefs in week 1. And Justin Herbert was looking like an MVP candidate. And now, not. Now, he's like, he just doesn't have the O-line. It's the same issue with C.J. Stroud. And it's the same issue, honestly, Herbert's had his entire freaking career, where the O-line's just been beaten up or non-existent. Broncos really got to get some star power over there. They got to get some exciting names. You're throwing the ball to freaking Troy Franklin. You're throwing the ball to Cortland Sutton, who is good, don't get me wrong, but not a number one. Your running backs are J.K. Dobbins and R.J. Harvey. There's just nothing exciting on that offensive side of the ball. The defense, of course, is going to rock it. They're going to be great. Don't get me wrong. But, like, you're putting up 13 points against the Jets. The Jets. I just don't love it. The Chiefs, like I said, they're playing right now. They're playing the Lions. Currently, they're down 3-0, but like I said, it was 6 minutes left in the first quarter. The Chiefs, though, I just feel like, one, they're somehow going to get to the playoffs, and then they're going to freaking just do Chiefs things. This just screams a couple seasons ago when they won the Super Bowl. It screams that they are just going to have this mediocre regular season. Everyone's going to write them off, and then they're going to go in and they're going to squeeze out these playoff wins and make it to the Super Bowl, which sucks because I don't want this. I'm not a big Chiefs guy. I respect Patrick Mahomes' game for sure. But honestly, we kind of got to start talking about regular season Patrick Mahomes. He ain't really been on too much. Yes, last week put up a decent, I think he had 26 fantasy points or something like that. Pretty solid performance there. But overall, like, I just not too excited about Patrick Mahomes and what he's been doing on the field. Last team in the AFC, the Raiders. Expectation was too high for them to start the season. We definitely should have seen that they were going to have some struggles with that O-line and that defense because Geno's going to need time to cook. And although he could do it with Seattle with the poor O-line, he so far is not doing great with the Raiders. And Pete Carroll might be too old to coach, but we'll see. Moving on to the NFC. Eagles. Eagles are a team that they got to pick up a corner, I think. I think they got to trade for a corner with the deadline being early November. They got to look at somebody. I'm trying to think off the top of my head. Maybe you go talk to the Jets about Sauce, see what his price tag would be because they're 1-5. But I just don't know who's selling corners because corners are so hard to come by. Commanders 3-2. Jaden Daniels, just get him healthy. Just get him healthy. Just protect him because you don't want to run into another RG3 situation. So take your time with protecting him. Take your time with they need to just focus on keeping him healthy because he is their cornerstone piece. Cowboys actually have been pretty surprised with the Cowboys to start the season. I did not think that they were going to be as decent as they have been. They're getting outscored by their opponents, but not by a lot. 178 to 184. And yeah, they're putting up shootout numbers. 27 to 30 to the Panthers, etc. And Javonte's looking a lot better than we expected. George Pickens looking pretty good. CD, of course, has been out. The defense is awful, but that's what I was saying, these shootout kind of numbers for their entire season. Decently exciting team to watch, actually, to be honest. I can't stand the Cowboys, but they're a decently entertaining team to watch. Giants. Jackson Dart doing Jackson Dart things start the season for him. And Cam Scatterbo, you just got to ride that wave. I like the duo there. They're this interesting combo and just like scream very like young, exciting team. So let's move on to the NFC North, though. The Packers, we thought they were going to be this dominant Super Bowl contending team. So far, I mean, they've been putting up points for sure. They just haven't been this. I think they're coming down on that high. Lions are 4-1. Of course, they're doing Lions things. They're going to smack you in the mouth with the run game. And they're going to dominate you via the run. They're a very well-coached organization, and they get the most out of their players. The defense is elite. Vikings got that quarterback dilemma. J.J. McCarthy, I mean, he might not be This season, I don't know if you bring him back. I think you just rock Carson Wentz just to kind of keep Justin Jefferson happy, keep feeding Jefferson the ball that whole 9 yards. The Bears. Bears are a team that's figuring out their offense. They're figuring everything out because, of course, it's a new coach. Caleb Williams is still, this is year 2, so you're kind of just figuring everything out. All right, moving on to the Buccaneers. They're sitting at 5-1. They're actually looking like a very dangerous team to face in the playoffs because if they can get healthy, and hopefully this Egbuka injury is not too scary, they are going to put up points on the board, and that is a terrifying thing. Baker looks elite, I think he's top 2 or top 3 MVP voting right now, which, I would love to see Baker Mayfield win an MVP. To go from this guy that people were writing off as a bust to then moving on from the Browns and going to the Panthers and, that organization just tearing him apart. Then he comes to the Buccaneers and he starts balling out. He is their franchise guy. He is their guy, and they're going to keep rocking with him. Panthers, like I said, they are starting to show that exciting summer league pass, NBA league pass kind of team where they're going to be very exciting to watch. They're not going to have a ton of wins, but they're going to be very entertaining to watch. Falcons are still figuring out that offense. It's a little disappointing to be like drafting in fantasy guys like Drake London and then him not get the freaking ball. Sometimes I just feel like Michael Penix doesn't even look his way. Yes, they definitely have a great offensive scheme there. Offensive weapons there with Bijan, Darnell Mooney, Kyle Pitts. Well, Kyle Pitts is not great, but I'm saying there are a lot of weapons here. Drake London, etc. So sometimes you're going to get games where they just don't have great games, but Drake London just has had he's had one good game. Everything else has been kind of quiet. Yeah, that comes in with shutouts that have happened and all that. But overall, not been too impressed with the offense besides Bijan. Bijan, of course, is electric. He's elite. He's the guy. Saints here. Saints 1-5. Tank. Get that number 1 overall pick. Find your future QB. Like I said, trade those assets, accumulate as much draft capital as you can, and kind of just reset. I honestly think they should bite the bullet on a lot of those high-paid players and just re-scrap and restart. Because it makes no sense to have these super expensive players on your roster at this point. You're not winning games. You're getting demolished. You're putting up 111 points to your opponent's 160 points, so you're getting rocked. So overall, scrap your assets, restart. NFC West, last division here. 49ers, 4-2. Mac Jones. We're talking about Mac Jones. And I'm curious to see what they do when Brock Purdy comes back, especially if Brock Purdy puts up a stinker of a game. Do you roll with Mac Jones even if Brock Purdy is available? I think, he's been playing decent. Why change it? If it ain't broke, don't fix it kind of thing. Seahawks, 4-2. Sam Darnold figuring it out. Loves Jackson Smith and Jigba. Throws him all the time. And I think AJ Barner, betting on him to score a touchdown is a pretty solid bet to make because he does it a decent amount. This division's tough because it's 4-2, 4-2, 4-2, 2-4. And the Cardinals have been a play away from being 3-3 or pretty darn close to also 4-2. But yeah, the Seahawks figuring it out. That O-line needs work for sure. Running backs are not doing fantastic. Rams, you got literally the offensive player of the year in Puka Nacua. Finally had a quiet game, but overall, he has been elite. I'm surprised he's not in MVP conversations because he is balling. And they have Devontae right next to him on the other side, and he's just, you throw up the ball, he's probably going to go and catch it. Cardinals, I think that it's the realization of Kyler Murray is not the franchise QB is coming to fruition, especially with him being out and Jacoby Brissett putting up a decent game. So it might mean they might look to move off of Kyler. Especially, like I said before with the Prince, Trevor Lawrence, it might be time to move off of him to give him a fresh start so he can have a fresh start and so can you. So maybe we see a little bit of a quarterback mix-up here where Trevor Lawrence moves on. Trevor Lawrence, Kyler Murray, Tua, Mac Jones, if the Niners continue to rock with Brock Purdy, let's say. You know, if Carson Wentz continues to play well, he could be looking to move. I mean, there's opportunity here. Russell Wilson will probably be on the move if he doesn't retire. Jameis Winston might be on the move also. And then, let's see, in the AFC, like I said, Tua, Justin Fields will probably be elsewhere. Joe Flacco will probably be on the move after Joe Burrow. You know, with the Browns, I mean, do they move off of Shador eventually? Like, we could have a mixture of quarterbacks that just get moved. I don't think anyone in the AFC West gets moved. Justin Herbert, Bo Nix, Patty, or Geno Smith. They'll probably just ride the wave with those guys. Same thing, the AFC South, I did talk about Trevor Lawrence possibly. So we could see this like quarterback wave movement where almost like when Baker and Darnold were moving around. Similar thing. Aaron Rodgers was moving around also. Similar thing there where new system could be better. Yes, the grass is not always greener on the other side, but who says it can't be? It was for Baker. It was for Darnold. Darnold's putting up decent numbers for the Seahawks. You know, I mean, there's an opportunity there. That's all I'm saying. There is opportunity here for a lot of quarterback movement in this offseason, especially some coaching movement with that. I mean, Mike McDaniels is out the door. I think he's going to be an OC. I've talked about that. I think he would be a perfect offensive coordinator for the Cardinals. So it would be kind of interesting to think about something like Mike McDaniels goes over to the Cardinals. And then let's say that Trevor Lawrence goes over there also. And then you've got Trevor Lawrence, James Conner, or whatever running back they have, Marvin Harrison, Trey McBride, and you could see what Mike McDaniels can do with Darren Waller or Jonnu Smith when he was a tight end for the Dolphins. Imagine what he does with Trey McBride, who in a piss-poor offense is putting up electric numbers. That's what's very intriguing is I don't think Mike McDaniels is a head coach. I think he's an OC, and that's fine. Kind of like I talked about with quarterbacks, coaches are the same way, where some coaches are just not meant to be the head coach. They're meant to be the OC or the DC, something like that. Right? It's just something like that. Not everyone can be a starting coach in the NFL. Not everyone can be a starting quarterback in the NFL. There are solidified backups. There are solidified not number one options. And maybe Mike McDaniels is similar to that, where he can help elevate an offense, but he doesn't need to be the head coach. All right, so now I want to talk about the Broke Boy Parlay. This week I want to do something a little bit different. Yes, it's still, betting low to win a lot, right? That's the whole point in this Broke Boy Bets, is finding those bets that are going to pay out a lot of money, but not necessarily going to be expensive. So let's start. This is all going to be NBA. I want to, right now on DraftKings, players to average 20 plus points per game for this season. This is regular season only. I'm looking at this list and I'm scrolling and I see Derek White plus 180. Right? So then I think about their roster. This season, not necessarily going to be a wash of a season. I mean, realistically, it's not going to be a championship run season unless Jaylen Brown just goes off, right? But there is opportunity somebody's got to score points. And we know Jaylen Brown probably going to score some points. Peyton Pritchard going to score some points. Derek White going to score some points. I think Derek White could score 20 points per game. There's going to be a center issue over there, right? Tatum's not going to be there, so more shots available for those three other guys, Jaylen Brown, Peyton Pritchard, and Derek White. Of course, Anthony Simons is in there too, sure, but I think he's going to move before the deadline anyways. So I think Derek White plus 180, I could definitely see that. Another guy, 20 plus points per game for the season. I think Paul George at plus 370 seems like a good number also, because yes, I understand he's had injury history and all that, but let's say that he doesn't and he comes back and has a decent, if he plays like 60 games, 50 games even, I mean, he's probably going to average 20 points a game. So I like that number. That plus 370 there seems like a decent number, decent gamble. Where this is also, we have to keep in mind too, this is broke boy bets. So this is betting on players and taking a shot, right? This is just pulling up from deep Curry range kind of thing. Shooting that half-court shot-esque bet, right? This isn't something that's like a guaranteed lock. It's something that you put $5 in and hope it hits, but it's only $5, so it's not a big deal. You shoot for the moon, is what I'm saying. So yeah, other guys around this though, like I don't love Andrew Wiggins averaging 20 or Vucevic averaging 20. Bradley Beal's not going to average 20. I thought about Cooper Flagg at plus 500. I don't want to pour. I'm so high on Cooper Flagg. I wouldn't want to. I think he's going to be like a 16 to 18 point scorer. I don't think he's going to hit that full 20. But yeah, other than that, I mean, other 20 point per game scorers I'm seeing here, like maybe Jaden Ivey plus 800, because it's just he's coming back from injury. We don't know exactly what Jaden Ivey is anyways. Might be worth a little bit of a flyer there. Another one that I wanted to talk about here was regular season threes made per game leader. Steph Curry right now is leading that at minus 125, but I want to talk about Peyton Pritchard, another Celtic. Peyton Pritchard at plus 1600, he's going to be chucking threes this season. He's going to have full green light. I think him and I think Tyler Hero could be another option here, where both of those guys lead in the league in three-pointers made per game. Both are good three-point shooters. I think there could be an option there. Also, I don't see Klay Thompson on this list. I'm sure his number is probably ridiculous, but he might be somebody as well. With Kyrie being out to start the season, he could be somebody that leads the league in threes made as well. Continuing to scroll on this list, wow. To average 4 plus threes made in a game, again, like Derek White, Peyton Pritchard seem like pretty darn good. LaMelo Ball even seems like a pretty good lock for that. Plus 350 for LaMelo Ball at making 4 threes a game. He'd be chucking it up. Trae Young is at plus 2,200 on that. Making averaging 4 plus threes made per game regular season at plus 2,200 seems like a lock. Holy cow. Yeah, I wouldn't want to go any higher than that, like the 5 plus threes made in a game. Regular season rebounds per game leader. This could be somebody like a sneaky Jalen Duren at plus 6,000. Rudy Gobert is only plus 4,000, so that seems like a pretty, yeah, of course, Sabonis, Jokic, Kat, Walker Kessler are up there. Victor Wembanyama is plus 1,000. Giannis is plus 1,000 also. I mean, that could be opportunity there. Zach Edey plus 20,000. Joel Embiid plus 10,000. Yeah, plus 10,000 for Joel Embiid seems like a pretty good lock as well. So these are just bets that I'm going to be throwing out there that like I'm seeing on this list. I'm like, oh yeah, I could definitely see an opportunity there. All right, this next one is assists per game leader. I do think Trae Young will be the leader in assists. Outside of him, Cade Cunningham at plus 1100 seems like a pretty good deal. Tyrese Maxey, sneaky in there, plus 15,000. And then, of course, like Ja Morant, with him, of course, they're on a new coach, and that system seemed to be working. They're running a lot more pick and roll, so there's more opportunity for assists for Ja Morant. No Desmond Bane here either. I do need to keep that in mind. But plus 15,000 we're talking about. Seems like a pretty good, again, broke boy bet. Don't put your rent on it. This is more of a low bet, high reward. There's no risk because $5 or whatever you're going to put on it. But yeah, I do think Ja Morant plus 15,000 leading the league in assists could happen. And then let's get on over to regular season blocks per game. It's probably going to be Victor Wembanyama. If it's not, Evan Mobley at plus 2,000 seems like a pretty good one. Even Miles Turner at plus 2,200. Sneaky Alex Sarr plus 3,000. I kind of like it. And then Avi Missy plus 10,000. Sneaky. I don't like that one. But regular season steals per game leader. Seems Dyson Daniel probably going to run away with this one. Plus 110. Outside of him, though, Amen Thompson with the Rockets seems like a pretty good bet there. Asar Thompson, his brother, as well. Herb Jones seems like a pretty good lock. But another guy not really getting a lot of hype about, Toumani Camara. I like plus 1,800 on Toumani Camara to lead the league in steals per game. So, yeah, so those are all my Broke Boy Bet awards. And overall, I know that was just a little snippet of NBA, but I'm trying to mix in the NFL and NBA right now. The NBA the regular season has yet to start, so it's going to pick up with more NBA talk as the season continues. But right now, we're in the midst of the middle of the NFL season, so that's where I'm talking about them more. So again, guys, if you do enjoy this content, do me a huge favor, smash the like button, subscribe to the YouTube channel, comment down below how you guys feel about the NFL season and what Broke Boy bets you guys like. Do you like that plus, the Trae Young to lead the league in assists or something like that? Or do you see something else that I'm not necessarily seeing? So without further ado, it's been another Beyond the Arc episode, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.